Welcome to my channel Trim It Color.
In today's session, we are going to create a human hand. I'm going to create a basic human hand, and maybe later on we can create another tutorial for a detailed hand. Whenever we are going to create an organic model, we have to create it through 4 steps. As I always say, first of all, basic primitive. Second step, blocking of it. Third stage, the smoothing of it. And the fourth stage, the detailing. Here also I'm going to do the same thing. So first of all, let's take a polygonal cube. Here is my polygonal cube. For the human hand, first I have to do the blocking. The subdivisions, I'm keeping it 1, and at the very beginning I'm just doing the blocking of the palm area. So I'm trying to get the correct proportion of it. Going to the side view, and this area, the wrist side will be a little bit broader than the finger side, so this area will be a little bit thin, so that's fine. I think the proportion has to be in this side. Okay, that's nice. Going to the top view, and the wrist area will be a little bit narrower than the finger side, so finger side will be a little bit broad. Now I'm going to create the rooms. So here, this is create polygon tool, this is cut faces tool, this is multi-cut tool, this is insert edge loop tool, this is slide edge tool, this is extrude tool, and this is deleting the history and center pivot. So I'm going to use all these tools from my shelves directly to make the process a little bit faster. So I'm going to create 4 fingers, so I'm going to give 4 loops in this area and creating rooms for the 4 fingers. Now going to the top view, this will be the index finger side and this will be the little finger side. So the source of all the 4 fingers are not that much straight and cubic, so I have to make it a little bit organic. So I'm making this curve. Okay, that's nice, and this will come a little bit more this side. Okay, that's fine. And if I see this from the front view, again it is not that much cubic. So what I need to do is, I'm selecting these 3, I'm pulling it up a little bit. I'm selecting this one, I'm pulling it up a little bit. And you know what? The wrist will be circular. So I also think the wrist can be a little bit like this. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to create the blocking of the fingers. There can be 2 ways to do it. First of all, I can create the fingers separately and can attach it, and the second process can be directly I can extrude the fingers from this block itself. Let's check what can be done. If I want to make my process a little bit faster, I can make the fingers separately. I can duplicate my fingers and attach it. I'm going to polygonal shelf. I'm taking a cube. That's fine. Let's create the middle finger first, because the orientation will be the same according to my model. So I'm going to do the blocking for the individual fingers. So first of all, let's make the middle finger. So I'm creating the proportion, and that can be a little bit smaller. So this is the first phalanx. I can taper it a little bit. again extrude. The second phalanx will be a little bit smaller than the first phalanx. The ratio is 1:1.618. So you don't have to be that much precise, but I'm trying to create the approximate proportion of it. So that third phalanx, this is going to be my third phalanx, so scale it down a little bit more. You have to taper it much more, and yeah, I think the proportion is correct. So just rotate it a little bit to create the tip of the finger. I'm deleting this adjoining face. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth it. I have to do a couple of adjustments in this. Going to the top view, so how the finger should look. So this is the first knuckle, this is the second. This is the first joint between first phalanx and the second phalanx, and this is the second joint between second phalanx and the third phalanx. So I'm tapering the in-between areas a little bit to give the suggestion of the joints of these areas. Okay, that's fine. Later on that is going to look a little bit anatomical, and select these three and pulling it downward a little bit to give the suggestion of the finger pads. Now the next thing I have to do is to create the creases between the finger pads. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create three edge loops. So if you are going to create a production model, it is always recommended whenever joint is there, directly you can create 3 loops. Here I am selecting the middle loops in this area and pulling it up a little bit so that I can get the crease. If I press 3 in this point, I can see the 3 finger pads, and it is coming nicely. So now this area, so the joint area, I'm making it a little bit broader. Same with this area, and same with this area. That's fine. Similarly, this joint. Okay, that's fine. Now select these two and these two and pull it up a little bit. Pressing 3 and checking, yes, it's looking anatomical. So this is the first phalanx area, second phalanx and the third phalanx. Okay, that's looking good. Now I am going to create the nail in this area. So how the nail can be created? First of all, I'm creating a little bit room for the nail, and it can be over here. So most of the time our tendency can be to make the nail a little bit bigger, but we have to be careful about that. So this can be the proportion of the nail for this finger. So I'm selecting the faces of this area and extruding, scaling it down a little bit, and that's fine. Again I'm extruding, and this time I'm extruding it up and extruding it a little bit forward. That's fine. Now taking the edges, these two edges, taking these two edges and pushing it in a little bit so that it will give a feeling of the nail is coming from inside out. Okay, that's looking fine. I can move it a little bit outside. In this area, the nail has to be a little bit broad. Okay, that's fine. And in this area, the nail has to be a little bit narrow. Another thing, the nail is looking too much circular, so I'm going to give another edge look in this area, and we can make the nail a little bit circular. So let's check what can be done for this. So I'm moving it downward. That's fine. Selecting this vertex and moving it up. Okay, so that can be one finger. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and going to create all the 4 fingers. I'm keeping my pivot point over here, and this can go a little bit downward, approximately at the middle, so that if I scale it, it will scale from the center point. Okay, that's fine. Going to the top view and duplicating it. So all the 4 fingers. So this height will be the highest. Now I am selecting this one and pushing it backward a little bit, rotating it a little bit, scaling it down. Now selecting this one, so let's check from the perspective. And another thing, this will go up a little bit, this will come down a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. And this also will come down a little bit. So the orientation is like this. That's looking perfect, and I think this can be a very nice way to quickly block in of the fingers. Now coming to the main block, and what I can do is I'm shifting these edges a little bit. I'm giving another look in this area just to make this area a little bit circular. So from both the sides I can just select everything and scale it up a little bit so that everything will be circular, and we can connect the fingers. I'm making double edges to create a little bit room between the fingers. Okay, I'll come to this area and will attach my fingers, but by the time I will quickly block in the thumb. I'm just deleting these faces because I don't need those faces when I'm attaching all my fingers with a main block. So till then it's looking fine. So for the thumb, first of all I'm going to create a little bit room, and then I'm going to extrude the thumb. For this area I'm using cut faces tool to create the room for the thumb. I'm going to select this and scaling it up a little bit. Select this edge, I'm scaling it down to make it perfect square. So this is looking a perfect square. I'm moving it outside a little bit. Rotate it approximately 45 degree. The angle you want the thumb will be oriented and frontward, again 45 degree rotation. So this is absolutely fine. This can be the orientation for the thumb. I'm going to the top and moving it out a little bit, because this can be the first metacarpal bone. Now what I can do is I can select any of these fingers and can modify it into a thumb. So selecting this one, just duplicating it and trying to place it in this area. Now I'm going to convert this into a thumb by changing its proportion a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Now I am going to delete all these faces and I'm going to attach this area with this. So let's check. For this also I'm going to give a cross loop to make it a little bit circular. So that's fine. Selecting all the 4 vertices and scale it down a little bit. So this area is looking a little bit circular, and delete all the 4 faces. So that's fine, that's looking nice. Now just select both the things, delete history, go to mesh and combine. Now what I'm going to do is going to the mesh tool, merge vertex tool, and I am going to merge all the vertices from the thumb up to the main body. Only one thing I can see, this distance is very less, so I have to do something for that. I'm going to select the vertices of this area and should shift it over here to make a little bit room for this area. The orientation has to be perfect. That's nice. Okay, that's looking good. Only one thing I'm going to do in this area, I'm going to adjust this area a little bit, because I feel this area is very narrow, so I'm going to scale it up a little bit to make to give the feel of the metacarpal. That's looking good. That is absolutely fine. here in between the fingers I have done a couple of adjustments, and very quickly I will show you how we can get rid of this pentagon. So I have already solved these two pentagons, and over here these two pentagons. Now I'm going to show you how to solve this pentagon and this pentagon. So let's check what can be done. The same thing I have done for these two areas. So I'm just splitting this and making a quad, small quad in this area, and connecting this with this loop. That's fine. And here I am connecting these two vertices. Same thing I am going to do over here. So this is very simple. I am creating a small quad and connecting this with this loop, and again connecting these two vertices. So the same thing. Now select this and select this, delete. Now delete the entire loop. So that's good. So that's how for all the three negative spaces between the fingers you can solve. Now coming to this area is looking a little bit complicated, and the mesh is looking a little bit different. So I'm selecting this edge and I'm just spinning it this way. I feel this is giving a little bit better result. I'm going to shift this a little bit this side. Yeah, this is looking better. Okay, now select these two, shifting it this side a little bit to create the thumb pad, and selecting these two and shifting it this side a little bit. Okay, that's looking good. I'm also selecting these edges and shifting. Basically I'm equalizing everything. So where there is a possibility, we should equalize. Okay. That's looking fine. Now I'm selecting all these three edges and shifting it backward a little bit. So that's the anatomy of the human hand, and selecting these three. In fact, we can select the entire loop and can push it forward a little bit. So just deselect this and push it forward a little bit. So it's not exactly vertical, but a little bit inclined towards the front. So that's looking fine. And okay, the final thing I'm going to do will be the knuckle. So I am selecting all the vertices of the knuckle and pulling it up a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Selecting the next and again pulling it up a little bit to make it a little bit gradual. So if we are having enough loop for the wrist, then we can have a little bit more loop and can have a little bit more detailing. Here the simplified model is looking absolutely fine, and yeah, that's it. So let's check how it is looking if I smooth it. So just select the model, press 3, how it is looking. So here a little adjustment can be done. So let's check if it is working properly. Then we are going to do this for each and every finger. Scale it down a little bit and bring it out a little bit because it's looking a little bit too much. Fine. So I'm going to do the same for each and every finger. Okay, that's cool. For these three fingers also, I should select these three vertices and should pull it out a little bit to retain the same cylindrical shape. So let's check. This is looking absolutely fine. Okay, so this is it, and this is the output for today's session. And keep watching the videos. I'll come up with new models and new techniques, new process. Keep watching the videos. Don't forget to subscribe, and all the best. Thank you.